is what you guys. Hello you guys, and welcome back to Officially Over It. I'm the creator and developer of this channel, Joemal Medina, and I hope you guys will enjoy this new video about this conspiracy about Trump and how.
Quick disclaimer, this is just a conspiracy and it's made for entertainment purposes only. It's my belief and my opinion. In this video, it's not factual, or yet, who knows?
Now since we already got the disclaimer out of the way, let's get into this video about Trump's election and how he planned every single moment to this day. Try to manipulate his way to his success, but somehow it failed, and these are the reasons why. Think about it. Majority of the states were red and very little were blue, which was very interesting. I was wondering, how come there's more red than blue? Correction. My question was, how come Trump was able to get so much votes in so little time, despite what he has done? This is step one that I believe he took to make sure that he had more red states than blue states. You'll be asking, let's see how he did it. Yes, I'll tell you how. Step one, defund the post office. You know, the ones that you send the letter through the mail and it gets to its place. Yeah, why would you cut fundings from that? What's the whole point? Here where it gets interesting. The virus during this time had hit very high that time, and supposedly a second wave was supposed to come. So what most people would do would decide to vote through letter, or you can say through mail. Why? Because they don't want to leave their home and contaminate other or get contaminated by somebody. So it already created, you can say, an idea that it's better to send my vote through the mail because it's safe. Because it's better for my safety, your safety, everybody else's safety. But somehow, have you noticed that all the states were red? But the reason why it was red, because Trump's voters decided to vote in person. So if you vote in person, obviously your vote will count first, and through the mail will count later because it's going through mail. It takes how long? Probably ranging from 5 to 15 business days, depending on the day, the place, and location, right? So because he defunded the post office, post mail service, that created less workers, that created less service for us to mail it. And if we decide to mail it, it's going to take longer for it to deliver because they don't have the proper workers to get it to one place to another. And because you can say Trump supporters decided to do it in person for their reasons, their beliefs, maybe they don't believe in this virus, or maybe because they heard their president say go in person, it's fine, and do it, they did it. So because they did it, they were first in line for their vote to be counted. And then the ones that were in mail would go later because it still needs to come, despite the lack of funding and the lack of workers they have and they need at this specific time, because he did it at the right time and at the right place, because he did it on election and he did it when he was still in power. Step one, defund it. Step two, tell his Trump supporters to vote in person. Or maybe they just did it just because they wanted to. Maybe. Let's just say that. Now, since he had decided to defund post service, mail service, he also gave it, on top of that, a bad reputation. And you notice he's been saying that, no, they're bad. No, don't do it. Don't vote through mail. His supporters listened what Trump said and decided to vote in person. But obviously people who voted through mail, but majority of them were blue. He knew that they were going to be blue. He decided to put his supporters first in line to be counted first. That explains why at the beginning there were so many red state was counted as red at the beginning. They were in first and they were in person. Their vote is already there. Versus the one in the mail, it has to take time, and it takes longer now because of the cut of fundings and the cut of workers, and that created a huge gap that's tough for the post service to continue to complete what they have to do, which is to deliver those votes. And because those votes were delayed, Trump knew that if he cut the fundings would create delay for the late voters, aka the Blue Party. He decided to announce the idea that he should stop all delayed voters or delayed ballots because it actually benefits him, because his voters' vote counted first. Because of that, it created the illusion that state to be red. So what was his next plan? Since he knows the ballots and votes from the mail are delayed and there might be probably mostly blue, he decided to go on Twitter and say, stop counting, because he knows if he stops counting at a certain time, there will be more reds than blues, because he caused the delay and the missing workers that is needed to not just count the ballot but also take their votes from the mail to one place to another will take long. And because of that, he decided to tweet this. And because of that, it's perfect for him to stop them counting, because it would just be only counting his supporters' votes and not the ones that are delayed. He wanted to create the idea that if it's coming in late, they don't count, even though in my belief they should count. Why they should count? Well, first of all, it's your right to vote, and if somebody is trying to not let your vote count, that's already violating your own right, and you all should know that. Nobody can stop you from voting, 1, and 2, if you vote and they do not count it, that's still violating your right. Plain and simple. Now the interesting thing is that he's trying to bring it to court if they continue to count the late or delayed votes, even though they did vote it during that period of election, during that period of voting. Honestly, they should count it, because every vote counts. Every vote counts. And because he decided to stop it, he thinks he could get away with only his voters that voted for him. It makes sense for him in a specific time, because after a certain time, if they have more votes on blues, it will outnumber him. That's why he wanted to stop them from counting. And you can say he made all of this for his campaign and for him to be able to be reelected. Yes, it makes sense. Think about it. Because if you have the power to defund something that could be potentially a threat to you, it would be a good idea to stop them by breaking all their workers, all their fundings, and then when they needed them the most, or when everybody needs them the most, they aren't able to perform to their best of their abilities because of the lack of fundings and the lack of workers. And then that caused, well, in this case, voters to be having their votes counted late. Now, you can say, how did it backfire? Think about it. You wanted to stop them from counting. But obviously, this here, you cannot stop people from counting votes, because your vote counts. Everybody's votes count. Whoever voted that within that period of voting counts. Just because it was delayed because of his fault doesn't mean that you guys don't count. Your votes don't count. It just means that they just have to work overtime because of the lack of fundings and the lack of workers that they needed, but they just don't have. But they're trying their best, because Trump noticed that majority of the voters aren't voting for Trump, are coming through the mail. So yes, it's a good idea to do that, but he's just doing it in the wrong time, in the wrong place. But he tried it, and because of that, it backfired. It backfired so bad to the point that he lost his campaign. He made himself look really bad. And on top of that, he defunded something that was very necessary at that time, which is the post office. And on top of that, he's trying to create the idea that people who decided to count the late ballot votes from the mail, that Trump believes that those are fraud and were made up, even though they were trying to count it as fast as they can, but also at the same time being attacked by Trump supporters outside the building. And on top of that, trying to put it on live on the internet, on the TV or wherever, so they would see that they're not just bringing in the mail, they're also counting at the same time, because so many of them that came through the mail were so little workers. But thank you to them that they decided to not stop for like, how many days? Like almost 6 days. Please correct me. Almost like 6 days straight, which I am so grateful for them. Each and every one of you who decided to count each single ballot that came through the mail. I'm so grateful for you. Because of you guys non-stop working, you have created hope. You have created a new path for America. You literally single-handedly save everybody's future here. Everybody's dreams are now coming true. Thank you to those people who actually accounted every single individual ballot that came through the mail. I am so thankful for you guys. Please, I understand. For me, I understand as a businessman, because he's a businessman. Trump is a businessman. He wants to make sure he wins and he gets what he wants, because that's what business is almost mostly about. You get what you want, but sometimes people or business people have to learn how to fail and have to learn how to lose. And when they lose, they have to learn how to accept it too. And it's one of the most difficult tasks to do. But you know what? And Trump should know that life is all about losing sometimes. And him, by threatening people, because yes, in business you have power, you have money, you have an image, so you could use and abuse that. But sometimes when you do it too much, it gets out of hand to the point that people don't idolize you. They turn against you. They don't see them as a role model. They don't see them as a successful person. They just see them as a dictator, as someone who doesn't want to lose. And it's bad, because at the end of the day, when try their best to seem human, they can't, because everybody else sees them as monsters. Like, for example, this picture that they show that Trump was coming out of his vehicle to one of his locations that he was going to, and he was just sad. I honestly felt it bad for him as a human being, but at the same time, the amount of damage he have created is just out of line. The idea that he neglected the health of not just himself, because he got the virus too, but also everybody else, to misinform, to also lead them to a wrong direction. And instead of realizing that he made a mistake, he decided to go on and blame everybody else instead of himself. So yes, you guys, that's majority of today's video. Let me just recap. He defunded the post office. He gave them a bad reputation. He made sure that his voters don't vote through the mail, which recreated Trump's votes to be counted first, and then those who were sent through the mail to be counted later, which created the illusion of a red state. His next step was to stop the count. Why? Because only the people who voted early, which was Trump supporters, would be counted first, and the one that were counted in the mail would be counted late, because he made that happen. That's why he was like, stop counting. But at the end, he had to realize that he was violating not just a right, but he had to realize that his plan failed. And it failed miserably, because he had to realize that since they noticed that they vote and they're registered, either way, they registered and they voted within that day, guess what? Those votes counts too. So that's why you gotta make sure that you vote. Every vote counts. Every vote counts. And even recently, today, even by one vote, changed the red state to a blue state. That's how powerful one vote is. That's how powerful your vote is. So don't forget to vote. So yes, you guys, That's today's video. I'm officially over it. Hope you enjoyed this video about this conspiracy about Trump and how he decided to manipulate his way to try his best to be the next president. But honestly, it failed. It was a good attempt, but it didn't happen. Sorry, Trump. And welcome to President Joe Biden. Our new president has just begun. I'll see you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell just in case so you will know when I upload a new video. And you may never know. It may come soon. It may come later. That's why you should hit the notification bell so you can get notified when it comes out. See you in the next one. Bye. This is just bonus. I have a feeling Trump will try his best to, he'll try his best to blame it on other people. Don't be surprised if he start blaming everybody except for himself. And on top of that, I have a feeling that Trump is going to send his supporters to government offices, do riots or something in between to get some type of attention, and it will cause something to the point that Joe Biden would try his best to not satisfy them in a way, but actually try their best to give them a realization that, look, this happened, but at the same time, I'm your president. I'll try my best to please you. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work in a way. Random question, you guys. If you like how this audio sounds, please let me know, because I'm trying new things right now. New lighting, new microphone. Well, it's not really a new microphone. I'm just using it. I have a whole system. My computer is right here with a mixture and then the light control and then the light. I don't even know. So, yeah, you tell me. Letting you know, you guys. It's 3:59 on a Sunday, November 8th. I was planning to make this video earlier, but I decided to cancel it, even though it was a good idea to do it earlier. But is that I was just stuck to the television, I was just like, something might happen. If I decide to make a video, something might happen. I need to really figure out what happened. And yeah, and then I ended up playing Minecraft like quite some time. Oops.